Culture Affairs and Tourism. So it's good to see all of you again. Because I have just arrived, the distinguished Deputy Minister will be acting in my absence. That some of the things that I followed while away as the official spokesperson of the government, I needed to say something about some of them before the Deputy Minister continued the press conference. And the first one I want to start with is the question of what happened at the airport. I know the LAA, which is the Airport Authority, issued a release to say what happened. But then I got more to say about that because I was on the flight. I arrived that night as one of the many passengers who were on board that Brussels flight. I also religiously followed comments and posting from many persons, giving different accounts of what they thought happened at the airport. And I had private conversation with some of them who I know, whose postings were far from just the desire to tell a true story about what happened. So SM Brussels flight of that day came from Brussels to Freetown and Freetown to Monrovia. A strike action was due in Brussels the following day. So the flight did not plan to continue its journey. Normally when the flight comes from Freetown or Cote d'Ivoire, wherever it comes from, it will pick up passengers and proceed to Brussels. This flight came and a decision was made that the flight will remain at the Rabat International Airport until the following day to avoid the strike action that was taking place in Brussels. So we didn't have additional passengers coming on board from Freetown. Once we landed in Freetown, and the passengers that were traveling to Sierra Leone disembarked, no passenger entered the flight from there, except those who were coming to Monrovia that were already on board remained. In fact, approximately around 85% of the passengers on board the flight remained in Freetown. So we came to Monrovia with almost virtually empty flight. And the flight landed safely on a normal condition. In fact, those on the flight did not know that there was an issue on the ground. It was just about the point of disembarking, then the team on the flight announced that the passengers would not receive their luggages because the terminal was without electricity. And so they would not be able to upload the luggages. So we disembarked, and once we got out of the plane, we could see yes, that the terminal building was dark. But the runway was lighted, clearly lighted. That's why the flight was able to land in the first place. And the VIP, I'm not talking about the presidential lounge, but the VIP of the airport, the small one that used to be used before, also had electricity. And we proceeded in. And I asked some question, why was it possible for the runway to be operational with full lighting, not a terminal? And the explanation was based on what happened in the past, where the entire system was linked as one. And there were, I think, 2 different instances with the CSM Brussels, where the flight was not able to land, even though it approached the wrong way to land, and had to ascend and go to Freetown. They learned some lesson from that. So they have a system that keeps the runway 24/7 lighted. So even if the whole airport, in terms of the terminal building, is dark, flights will be able to safely and easily land because the runway is perfectly lighted. And that was the situation of that night. So we saw posting that people were using flashlights in their phone light to claim their baggage. Nobody could claim baggage, and nobody could use touchlight or anything to claim baggage because the baggages were not discharged from the flight. When you take baggages from the flight, they go on the conveyor belt to roll it into the terminal, go to baggage claim where people receive their stuff. So if the entire terminal is without electricity, it means the conveyor belt itself is not working. And if the terminal without electricity dark, it means no passenger can go in there. So how can somebody suggest that we're using flashlight to go collect or claim your bag? When the flight already announced that bags will be received tomorrow because the terminal is without electricity. We don't provide justification for that. And as a spokesman of the government, I would say the fact that there was no electricity in the terminal should not have happened. And the president of the country himself took that matter very serious. He instructed the very night that he needed an incident report to be available to his office by morning the next day. That incident report was submitted. Additional meetings were held with the president himself involved to get into what really took place. And frankly, as a government, there's no appetite to see a repeat of the situation whereby the terminal building will be without electricity. So we don't provide defense for that. The explanation we're trying to give is not to give any justification because what took place in the terminal building should never have happened. But once it happened, then we cannot try to be propagandistic about it. In fact, it looks like, in my mind, that there's a competition for the reoccurrence of bad things. Because you used to might talk about, oh, it happened on this other place, now it's happening. Okay, we fought war 2 decades ago. I killed 250,000 people. Should there be Liberians wishing that war is fought again? Just to show that it happened yesterday, it's still happening today? We should be marching forward. The excesses we had in the past, we should correct them. That's what our citizens and everybody else should demand from their government. Not a prayerful movement for the repeat of the bad things of the past. And that is why I am informed that the president has made it clear to the individuals who are in charge of the airport that there's zero tolerance for what took place that night. The rest of the passengers had to be checked out of the airport using the original VIP where immigration officers were assigned and they had access to electricity. And things went on smoothly. That was exactly what happened. Some of the passengers were outraged, and it was justified. I had conversations with some people on the flight who were coming to Liberia for the first time after many years. You don't want them coming home and being greeted with those kinds of impressions. That is why we don't appreciate, as a government, what took place at the airport. And we will do everything that is humanly possible to ensure that at no time in the future, with an aircraft land at the RIA, even though safe enough because the runway is lighted 24/7, but the terminal does not have electricity, passenger cannot use it to get out of the airport. They cannot have access to their luggages. They have to wait for extra time, not knowing some of the important things they have in their luggages. And then for the person who may not have come to the country for that long, you give them an impression that is negative. And we don't have space for that. So we can tell the story as it took place. We don't have to add, we don't have to subtract, and we don't have to appeal the people in prayer for the continuous occurrence of the wrong things in the country, of negative things in the country. We all should be concerned about the country making progress. And that is the reason why we tolerate criticism, especially for those who have facts about things that may not be going well. We welcome their criticism because they will help us not to be complacent. They will make us to be reminded that as leaders of the country, we owe both the country and the people of the country something. That they've empowered you democratically based on commitments that you made, and you must keep those commitments. So that's the situation with the airport. Another situation we follow from the far is the whole question about vehicles for the presidency. And that's how I like to put it. Because the focus is the presidency, it's not an individual. Just yesterday somebody else was in the executive mansion. Today another person is there. Tomorrow it could be another person. So the action is directed at the presidency and not an individual. And the reason why we sat from afar and watched and did not rush to make any comment is because we believe some strange things are really happening here. In which country? The way that the president is protected is made a public discourse. Where? All of the countries around here, or most of them at least, the presidents of those countries own private presidential jets. Do we know the cost of presidential jet? Do they come and announce they say the jet is what? Do we know the features they have on those jets for the purpose of providing security and what the implications are? Those are things that are not made public political discourse. And it is not something that the president or anybody else in government has authority over except those who are responsible to protect the president. It's that the whole country. The country needs to be protected. And those who are charged with the responsibility of protecting the country will continue to do what they believe is deemed proper and required to protect the country. The same with the presidency. For the country to be stable. Oh yes, you don't want a situation where you wake up one morning and somebody says to you, this one has happened to the president. I remember when President Piah was elected, I was still out of the country then. He had gone into a community where somebody has rushed to him. And the man succeeded in reaching the president. That one they were running away on social media for weeks. And everybody was criticizing the security people who were assigned with the president. How can security people there? They should fire them. How could they even allow somebody to come near the president? That they have worked to protect the president. Many of you ordinary citizens were outraged that they flunked to the extent that somebody physically reached the president. Assuming the president had a knife, they had a gun. And that's why you were outraged. It was justified. But you don't know what they put into ensuring that the president, vice president, anybody else is protected. So the determination as to how the president moves in a vehicle, not for the president to determine, say, go buy me this car. It is the obligation of the people who are responsible for his protection and based on their assessment of the threat level to the president. And all of a sudden, it becomes an issue of debate that they think like taking one car and get to the president's house. If you are part of the office today, those things that the EPS or the security forces have determined are required and needed to ensure that they succeed in protecting the presidency by extension the individual who is there, it's what they will do. It can be a matter of politics. It can be a matter of debate. Are we not aware that the last fleet of presidential vans that was inherited were used for 6 unbroken years? Used for all the different travels, including travels during campaign? Oh, there have been some things happening that we've never said to you because it's a security question. I'm aware that several times the president's vehicle broke down on the highway to Bombay. Some journalists are aware because they have traveled with the president. And I commend you that in some cases, you combine certain things with your journalistic profile and say, it is not for me to go report that the president's car broke down while we're in Bombay. So many of you did not report that. Those were usual occurrences. And you think the people who are responsible for the president's security will be comfortable with that? That it's okay for the president to be breaking down? And they decide to take an action to avoid that and to ensure that the president is at all times safe? Do you know what will happen as the president's vehicle breaks down on a highway? Do you know at that point, then the life of the president is in danger as a result of that? And if those who are responsible for his protection just sit and fold their hands and believe nothing's supposed to be done, then we, the same people, will come and criticize them. Fire the director. Fire the Piah officer. They don't even know what is required to protect our president. When they do what they deem is necessary to protect the president, then we come and make it our political discourse. So this is not an issue that we'll be talking about. I mean, those who take so deep an interest in politics can keep talking. But one thing the EPS is sure of is that they have acted in a way that enables them to perform their statutory responsibility of ensuring that the president is safe at all times. So let's know, I mean, how many times somebody, just before the end of the president's term, who didn't see the customized vehicle that was bought by the former president? They were not for government, they were questionable. Why would they see the same outrage? Somebody somewhere, especially people who hailed the purchase of that customized vehicle, which were private, and the very ones who are making the largest of noise about what the EPS has done or is doing to ensure the protection of the president. They acted within the confines of the law. They acted in ways that put them in the position to perform their duty of ensuring the protection and safety of the president. And that's it. Make the politics you want to make out of it all you want. Another thing we want to talk about, because when we got on the ground, it was a matter of concern. Before then, the Public Welfare Ministry said they will maintain the portion of the road rehabilitation work taking place on the Bushel Island as it was originally, which means the portion of the road that was 4 lane will be maintained, and the stretch of road between I think it's Carwell Junction to St. Paul Bridge, which has been 2 lane all of the time, it will remain 2 lanes. They've made a determination based on resource availability that they want to maintain a 4 lane road from the Gabriel Tucker Bridge all the way up to St. Paul Bridge. Hence, their recent action, which you all witnessed, the demolition of several properties along the road. Some people have been concerned to say, we want development. But most times when they go and break your thing down, you see months pass by and nothing will happen. So we have had conversation with the Ministry of Public Works. And they're giving the assurance that they did the demolition because they are ready to commence the physical work required to be done in expanding that road to a 4-lane road. They have the resources for it. They're trying to ensure that before the rain starts to fall very heavily, they will have what they call the base layer. The base layer is that final layer that you put in after all the earthwork that is followed immediately by pavement. They want to do all of that before the rain falls heavily. And then they will be able to do the pavement, which means if you were driving from Johnson Street all the way up to St. Paul Bridge, you would drive on a 4-lane road, which would make it a little bit easier for movement for those of us who live on that side. We will have a struggle to pass through places that do our market. And that is the expansion will make the flow of traffic even better and easier and will be in the interest of commuters. We understand when these things are happening, sometimes you feel a little bit right. I come from the St. Mary Catholic Church. I'm a member of that church. And when I returned to the country, I stopped by to see my priest. And one of the things that I was welcomed with is that the front part of the whole fence of the church was brought down because it was on the road. And the priest, as I was talking to him, he had this positive mindset. So we understand, we're not offended. We're in the right of way where the road's supposed to pass. But the only concern is, having broken down this fence, we'll wait for the next 6-7 months, maybe up to a year, we'll see no road coming, then we'll take the fence. Because you should not bring our places down when you're not ready to do the work. And those kinds of conversations with many other people, including my priest, informed my judgment that I needed to have a conversation with the public works ministry. In that conversation, they confirmed that no, we are expanding the road to 4-lane, we're ready to do it now. They're not going to have any wait period. The road will be built into a 4-lane road. Development sometimes is painful. For those of us who are members of the church and other people, we working with them to ensure that they restore the fence to the new demarcation. Other people who lost some property will be acting to do all the readjustment. There's a Ahmadiyya Muslim school run by the Catholic Church there. It was also hit. So we want to see transformation, we want to see development. And we all got to bear some pain to ensure that those developments take place. We also see massive work taking place on the highway, even though we came very late, there were all that happened at the airport. But even under the cover of darkness, we could notice that more earthwork has been done in expanding the road on the RIA front. The public works minister said to me that the work will continue with us without hindrance because 76% of the money required for that project has been received by the contractor. The work done so far is estimated around 60%, which means they receive more money than the work done, so the work can continue. And by the time they will reach the point of exhaustion for that up to 76% payment that was made, additional funding will be made available. So that is an assurance that the work being done on our highway will continue unhindered until it is completed. So that in the not too long, distant future, we all feel good. When you arrive at an international airport, you're driving towards your capital, you're on a complete 4-lane road straight up to the capital. The Ministry of Public Works that is responsible for all the street that you see around, they will ensure that our highway is also lighted properly. Because even when the road was just 2 lanes, one of the challenges that were on the road was the extreme darkness. And sometimes those traveling to the capital will wonder, so the road will all leading us to the capital city, they can be asking questions. Because all they see is utter darkness. The goal of this government is to change all of that, to create a positive image about our country. It's a part of the general branding process that we all have to do. The country has to be branded. That's why we frown on the situation at the airport. You can be trying to brand the country. If you were around the city, but they didn't get correct. So that is also continuing. And for those of you who have some concern about the interchange, which is the stuff that is supposed to start from the ministerial complex to the SKD Boulevard. Maybe you're wondering, because we have announced using these same platforms that the work would have started in February. The contractors are in country. They are mobilized. But we realize these are individuals who have their structural things, their building, shop, etc. Most of the service providers have their operational lines in those spaces. MEC, for example, have all the high tension wires there. If you're using that road regularly, you realize they are taking down all the high tension wires. And they're not doing it free. Government pay them so that they can be able to reinstall it wherever it's supposed to be. Orange, Lone Star, the water and sewer, the sewer line, all those things are in the place that is supposed to be used to do the road. Public Works have been engaging, making payments to some of the people who got structure there. As they pay them, they break down the structure. This weekend, most structures will be done because payments have been made. And all the service providers, including Orange, LEC, the LTC itself, everybody, they've been engaged, paid, and they're breaking down those things that are in the route. Because the contractors need the site, operational site along that route. Those operational sites are the places where those utilities, infrastructures are running. They've been brought down. We are hoping that between 1 to 2 weeks, everything there will be resolved and the work will start. That is the reason why on Thursday, I'm just saying this in passing, but on Thursday, the Ministry of Public Works will be our guest here at the press conference, so that they give you more detail, not just about that, but all the interventions that they are making during this period. The Deputy Minister, Tamba, has been authorized by the Minister of Public Works, saying he's the technical man. He will come here to tell the story on Thursday. That is where I want to stop and allow the Deputy Minister to talk. I heard one former government official was on the network OKFM. I would choose not to be the one to talk to him. The Deputy Minister is empowered to address that issue. You see, where we take this country from where they left it is what concerns me as the Minister of Information. That's why I come to you talking about things that we're doing to change the life of the people and not responding to mere noise. Because noise making has become a career for some people. If you follow them, then you as the chief spokesman of the government, you reduce your responsibility to a battle of noise between you and professional noise makers, which I would not allow to happen to me. I think that's part of the reason why we have able, capable, and competent deputies and assistants who can deal with those people at their own level. Mr. Sandra.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. It is very solemn for you to speak. Your boss I already spoken, but it is a protocol, and so we have to oblige ourselves. So let me just continue from where the minister stopped. A lot of good things are happening for the country, and the relationship between Liberia and the People's Republic of China is yielding a lot of fruitful results. And based on that relationship, Liberia and China signed a joint technical cooperation agreement to support the arrest agenda for inclusive development. The government of Liberia and the People's Republic of China have officially signed a bilateral agreement for technical cooperation. The agreement was signed on Friday, March 28, 2025, by Her Excellency, the Dean of the President's Cabinet, Madam Sarah Beslo-Yanti, Minister of Foreign Affairs, and the Ambassador of the People's Republic of China to Liberia, His Excellency Chen Yu. The agreement aims to enhance mutual cooperation in various sectors through the implementation of projects agreed upon by both governments, with a focus on promoting peace, stability and prosperity, and development in Liberia. The agreement aligns with the principles of equality, mutual respect, and win-win cooperation, which is the central element of the regional commitment made at the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, FOCA. During the signing ceremony, the Ambassador of the People's Republic of China to Liberia expressed his satisfaction with the agreement and noted that the agreement is designed to facilitate projects that will be implemented following friendly consultations, reinforcing the shared goals of achieving sustainable development and promoting a prosperous future for Liberia. We talk about jobs, and the other day you heard that huge consignment of drugs was arrested by the Liberia Drugs Enforcement Agency. The government is making strides in terms of bringing the situation under control. It is a problem that we cannot politicize. It's a problem that we cannot sweep under the carpet. We have to take it head on as a government. And so, as part of the government of Liberia's program to eradicate drugs and substance abuse in Liberia, the Ministry of Health has commenced a comprehensive substance use disorder treatment program. The program is a key component of the National Intervention Shepherd and spearheaded by the Multi-Stakeholder Committee on Drugs and Substance Abuse, which was established by President Joseph Nimabwaka Sr. In collaboration with the Mother of Light Rehabilitation Program. This initiative underscores the government commitment to providing evidence-based treatment for individuals grappling with drugs use disorder. In the first phase, the program will establish 3 outpatient centers, 2 in Mosrata counties and 1 in Grand Bassa County, as well as 1 inpatient center in Grand Bassa County. Additionally, renovation of Youth Agriculture Training Center in Bensonville is underway, and once completed, will serve as a second inpatient rehabilitation center. The treatment services are being delivered by a dedicated team comprising both volunteers and staff from the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, the Ministry of Youth and Sports, and the Liberia Drugs Enforcement Agency. The multidisciplinary team includes psychiatrists, clinical psychologists, addiction professionals, educators, social workers, and TVET trainers. Beneficiaries will also have access to basic vocational training programs in agriculture, tailoring, and computer skills to support their long-term recovery and reintegration exercise. We have been following, and we know that there are people who get irritated at the mention of the name of the former president. But there are reasons why we have to constantly mention the name of the former president, not because he's our target, but some of the people who work with the former president are drawing him into unnecessary debates. The reckless and irresponsible attitude of the chief of staff to the former president is one of the reasons why we continuously use this platform to raise a red flag and to remind them on the government they ran here that was no different from a den of thieves. They came here, they were given the opportunity by the Liberian people to lead, and they decided to enrich themselves, bastardize the country, and dash the hopes of the people. Today we have a government that is committed to focusing on the development needs of the country, and step by step we are addressing those needs, evidenced by the appropriation in the budget, evidenced by the good things that are happening in the country. Just last night I went to my house and the pavement of the road before my house is unbroken. The government is working. Or get troubled when people who had the opportunity to serve and fail to address some of the perennial problems that has kept this country backward. They come up today speaking because, of course, the government has created an enabling environment. Unlike that time where political opponents were being hunted down by the Porcupine Brigade, today you are free. But he said something which we have to be clear about and we have to clarify. That the government led by His Excellency President Piah is stealing the vision of one President Piah. The question that then comes to mind is whether there was any vision with this story. From the way they ran the country, it clearly tells you that the former president was visionless. They ran a visionless government. So there was no vision. There was no vision. I can go on to name some of the failed promises. And those promises failed because they didn't have any vision. The PAPD, which was the guiding principle to their government, talks about creating thousands of jobs. Some of you who are journalists need to go to that former government official and ask him how many jobs did they create for the young people. Today, the Piah-led administration is grappling with massive unemployment among the young people of this country. And what we intend to do is to create the enabling environment for investors to come here, create their businesses, their companies, thereby creating the jobs that we need. They wouldn't do that. The UP government does not have anything to do, and so they're stealing the vision. Was there any vision of this story? There's no vision of this story. What this government has done in the last 12 months, 13 months, 14 months, are sufficient indication that the country is on a trajectory to progress. And some of the people who want to say to us, I must beware. As to why the chief of staff to the former president will be under the influence of some strong substances, go to the studio, and you could literally see that he was under the influence of something very strong. Maybe he was drunk. And you cannot even say anything substantial. Talking about the former president has never received a call from the president, and that the country, the government is endangering the life of the former president. On what basis are the allegations being made? On what basis? Is President we are the only former president of Liberia has? President said he is here. And we all see how she continues to carry herself as an elderly stateswoman. And she's getting the respect, the cooperation that she deserves. But when the former president and people who manage the affairs of the former president still believe that the campaign is on and they want to be political about everything that happened in the country, we will not relent. Because they actually have to be ashamed of themselves. The things you failed to do yesterday is what the government is doing. You ever hear the president, the former president, the former vice president complain about the benefits? Do you know how they refuse, how they failed to pay? When the current president was vice president, they failed to pay his benefits. Because you're looking for cooperation. You say people disrespecting you, and you're making noise about it. But you are getting everything that you are entitled to as a former president. Even though you say the EPS boss is incompetent, but the EPS that we now have is much more a force of disciplinary measures where officers for the EPS are being reprimanded for harassing VIP for money. The EPS under your leadership became an auxiliary of the ruling party. It became an auxiliary. Today, you talk about the former president Levis being in danger. All of the security protection that he needs as a former leader of the country, if I call him those. The very EPS you condemning are working under the instruction of Jarolimek. So is it now a contradiction? The former president is accompanied by EPS officers, state security, everywhere he goes, and you come on the radio and say the EPS boss is not professional. It is a contradiction, and I'm constrained to say that this former government official is talking like someone who has a diarrhea mouth. When you have verbal diarrhea, just speak out anything. And coupled with the fact that he was under the influence of alcohol, he went to the studio. He missed the mark, and he failed to address some of the issues that he should have spoken to. I know they were talking about the revelation from the EPA boss about the vehicle. The minister spoke about it. But how many of you here don't know that all those export motorbikes that you saw in the country, where are they? All the vehicles that were bought in the last 6 years of the presidency, where are they? So when people come up to give accountability, one thing we will not do is to take the blame of the former government. We came to the Ministry of Information. What we have done is to set ourselves apart. And you bear testament to that. The way we met the ministry is no longer than that. But anything about audit, accountability, they have to account for their stewardship. And so if the EPS issue a statement that justifies the purchase of the vehicle for the president, the best you could do if you had nothing tangible to say in response to the EPS boss is to shut up. But you go on the radio using your diarrhea mouth and say, oh, and the EPS boss want to kill the president. What is that? What is that? We place emphasis on communicating government progress, making sure that the information our people need is given to them. But if there's anybody who thinks that the way you can distract or saturate the public space with lies and misinformation is to go on the radio and play politics, we will not relent in reminding you of the facts, because the facts are available. One thing we know here is that we are not forgetful. We are very retentive. We remind you about all the things we do. So, It was a disaster. It was a blunder on the part of that former government official. And I think a lot has been said. We will not hold back in providing this information because our people deserve to know the facts. What vision is he talking about? Bali Island, 6,000 Nigerian teachers, the airplane cake, the coastal highway, the football stadium across the country. What vision is he talking about? Was there any vision in the first place? Some of the projects that they inherited from the Unity Party government, where fundings were already available, because of the reckless manner and form in which they manage the country, they could not even provide counterpart funding to match what the donors were providing or what they have committed to provide for these projects. Today, you see all of the road projects are being accelerated across the country. Just the other day we announced at the second phase of the Banga to Menikoma Road, the Minister of Finance and Development Planning and the Minister of Public Works will be in Kuwait in a matter of months to conclude negotiation for the funding for the second phase of that road. Something that they do not do. You want the country to be kept backward because of your so-called quest to protect vision. Keep your vision, Mr. Former President. We'll deliver the development. Thank you. So before we take questions, the Deputy Minister for Culture and Tourism has a very important announcement to make. So we'll make the announcement and then we'll take the questions and the Minister will respond. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Minister, and our very astute and outstanding Minister, Jarolimek M. We want to say welcome again. Members of the Fourth Estate, we are excited every week to have you here. Let me just say the Ministry of Information, Culture Affairs and Tourism has been drawn to a viral and disturbing social media video in which Ms. Kindness Wilson, first runner-up in the 2022 Miss Liberia pageant, physically assaulted a female student on the campus of this Stella Marie Polytechnic University. MICAT, which oversees the prestigious Miss Liberia beauty pageant and supervises conducts of pageant winners afterwards for good behavior patterns, we are very deeply concerned over the shameful and behavior of Ms. Wilson as viewed in the video. Accordingly, MICAT will be requesting Ms. Wilson to appear before an investigative panel to ascertain if she had gone contrary to her behavior terms and conditions as a beauty queen. As a first runner-up of the 2022 Miss Liberia pageant. More so, and during the investigation, MICAT investigative panel will also hear from the physically assaulted victim. And MICAT, this ministry is not going to take this as a joke. We are going to set an example. So MICAT will fully implement recommendations of the investigative panel consistent with its overseeing and supervisory roles. We want to take this time to say this should not be shift blaming, oh, this person did this, so I did that. So on this note, you will be hearing from us. We just wanted to make sure that, everybody knows that we are in control of what had happened, of what happened, and how we're going to handle it moving forward. I respectfully submit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, we have calling for questions, please form a queue. Please form a queue so that we know the number of people in the queue, then we can say whether we'll take 2 questions or one.
Take the one before you.
Thank you so much, Minister. Thank you. Welcome back to Liberia. I have 2 concerns. My name is Piah and I work for Spoon Network. You did mention in your session that there are a couple of community rules ongoing. But Liberians have been expressing reservation about some of the rules concerns. Some of the concerns are, we just repeated some of the things that the CDC administration did by, going ahead to repair dusty roads. Like in the Pinsville area, we see grading of dusty roads. The concern is when the rainy season comes, those roads, will just spoil again. So there's no need for you to grade road in rural communities. Those are some of the concerns they've been raising, and you are putting in the achievement of this government. How can you, balance that regrading dusty roads that were previously existing? And Minister Sano, you mentioned that there was no vision of the CDC government, but we are seeing some of the projects that were being implemented before the transitional process. Your administration did not abandon some of those initiatives. They are still, carrying on some of those initiatives currently, like the completion of the Japan Freeway and other infrastructure developments that the former administration, was doing. The administration did not abandon some of the issues, but they decided to take on them. So how can you, consider your statement in a way that you were saying there was no vision, but you are now, continuing some of the projects the CDC administration was doing on your watch? Thank you.
So, my name is Joseph Sadi, and I report for ABC Radio. Well, I get one question for the Deputy Minister. Madam Minister, I want to know, since you took over as Deputy Minister for Culture, what are some of those programs and policies you've put into place to ensure that you advance Liberian culture out there? And my last question goes to Minister Piah. Minister, a few days ago, we were not in the country, and we saw something on Spoon, and the president was traveling on a private visit. Yeah, private visit. So I want to know, if we were to add cost to the president's travels, what's the cost attached to it, and who takes responsibility for that, looking at the economic issues we are facing? Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Desmond Moyo, and I report for Democracy Watch. Thanks so kindly, Mr. Minister, and welcome back to the country. I have 2 concerns. The first concern goes to Deputy Minister Deputy Minister Sando. It is important for government officials, be it formal or current, to uphold, to truth telling. And the case of the former Commissioner of Government, former Information Minister, and now current COS in the office of the former president, made a series of allegations on OKFM. He said that most of these roles, projects that are being carried out by the Unity Party-led government are projects that the government has not initiated, but is still continuing. But at the overall, the government should be giving credit to the previous government instead of taking the glory as a sitting government. He mentioned the most emphasis of the coastal highway, that's the southeastern road corridor, that was initiated under the Piah administration. But then he also went on by saying this government is taking the glory of that, claiming to themselves that this the project is being undertaken by this current administration.
So what's the question?
So the question is, are you as a minister, are you in any way taking into consideration that some of the road projects, especially with what emphasis of the southeastern corridor was initiated by the Denison administration? And my last question to you, Mr. Minister, you acknowledged about the situation there at the airport. I wish that you affirmed this, indeed there was a backfall. But what I didn't get from you, maybe you said that, is what was probably the cause of the only international airport of our country to experience a one night of darkness. Or if there was one night, whatever night it would be, but what would be the cause? Was it an electrical fault or what? Thank you.
My name is Joseph Sai, and I report for Latin. So, Mr. Welcome. Honorable Deputy Minister for Culture. There are a lot of concern. The public really want to know this issue of beauty pageants going around the country. If your office is always in the know of some of these pageants that are ongoing because of recent at the District 17, District 14, and they were seeing of pictures flooding all on social media of indecency of the way some of these girls dress when they come up the platform. We want to know if you are aware of some of these things. And to Minister Sano, most often when you mount on the platform, you try to give some of the failure of the past regime. And the public, the viewers, want to know what is the government doing to rectify some of these mistakes that was done by CDC. Are you most of these legal cases that are on, what is it the government is really doing to rectify some of these things?
Thank you. I'm Stephen Rouse, and I'm from Liberia. My question to Minister Sano is basically, can you give all the credit there as to the exact price that were fit to the President's recent car purchase? There are the information that all of them we have assumed maybe around 100,000. Other people said 150,000, other people said 400,000. Can you basically tell us what's the fixed amount? Another question would be, there has been information circulating regarding the southeastern corridor of road pay. There have been reports that the CDC administration completed as far as 80% of the road leading the southeastern corridor. The road leading from Sandy Point to Tapeta, around 80% was completed through this government coming into power, and undertaken by 20%. Can you basically clear the data as to whether this information is true?
Okay, so thank you for coming one at a time. One question.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My name is Ishmael Logan, and I work for Punch Radio Liberia. I have a long question to the Deputy Minister for Tourism. There's this statement or this situation involving Ms. Wilson that the Miss International Liberia has up for title for or that situation at campus Stella Maris. And talking about the ministry launching an additional investigation, is it in line with the Miss International Liberia part of investigation that was commissioned, or are you a research statement that the type of administrative? Thank you.
Which topic?
As Miss Liberia International. Thank you very much, Larry Tipe, and I report for the management. Mr. Minister, thank you and welcome back in the country. It is normal if an official leaves a country and how he or she goes out there maybe for education with other stakeholders or other international partners. Since you left and now you are back, do you care to maybe tell us, because in your explanation you did talk about some of the things that happened while you were away, but do you care to also tell us maybe you engaged one or two persons while you were away?
I went on a private trip, so I don't know.
Thank you, those are all the questions.
Hello to everyone. This is Focus on Liberia Live broadcast, and we are at the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism, where the Minister proper, Honorable Jarolimek M.
Where have you traveled outside of Liberia?
Address the first country.
Ask question myself, ask my another question. Don't travel somewhere? All right. Even the America I'm just coming from, there are places there that are not so. Because here, America, everywhere you buy, just in the street, shining level. Maybe road leading to some rural communities. Your question suggests that road work should really be focused on pavement. But just let's take the example. Some of you were running with some negatives when they said no car will get stuck in the mud. And on the road, along the way the road started when we got the radio erosion sport. By your analogy, you are saying, don't touch it. It's poor way, it's cool, and not do when I dust it, we don't do nothing on it. Now what I mean? If no intervention, for example, was done on all the roads in the country that are dusty roads, because according to you, road work should only be focused on paved road. Nobody will be able to travel there. The pipe holes and everything that there will turn into wells. So we have a responsibility not to just build put-out road for you, but the roads that are considered gravel roads, they got to be maintained from time to time so they are passable. This country is 177 years. Have you asked yourself, why all the other leaders that were doing up to the 177 years, we still got dusty road in the country? Maybe all the roads in the country are supposed to be paved. Maybe they didn't have the resources. If you ask me, I would have said as Minister of Information in the next 6 years, no dusty road should be in Liberia. And there's not creation. Now, only doing creation, somebody can say, let there be light. And there was light. In governance, you need money to do the things you want to do. To pave road, you will spend money. To advance the legislation, you spend money. So how I wish we had the power to just sit down somewhere and say, let there be roads. And all the road paved. Let there be hospitals and schools. And you're happy. The only record that we know of the person who did that at all, they say when you're creating, he had no mechanic, he had contractor, he got construction people, he just spoke. Let there be day and night. You're happy. You just take money, you put it together, you breathe through it. You made man. You wanted the man to live. Only the God of creation can do that. The one we're doing now, cannot let them be led in their life. The real work, money, and everything will require development. We don't have it. So we do as the money will allow us to do. And that's exactly what we're doing. Where the dusty roads are and we get money to pave it right away, we'll continue to make it pliable. Where we have the quotas that are damaged, will do it and refix it. Your argument also suggesting that all the quota road that CDC left now will not touch. From your government, the country not for any political party. When UP government leave from here now, the next government will turn the country is what they're running. They're not running UP fund. So you're looking for why UP were doing, why other person was doing. They're running the Republic of Liberia. I hope I answer your question. The cause of the power outage, the airport authority issued a press statement. The only reason why I chose to talk about it was based on some of the information I saw people share on social media that were not true. And as somebody who witnessed, not necessarily as government spokesman, as somebody who witnessed what happened because I was on the flight, I just thought to give you an account of what happened. But if you go to their release, I'm sure that release says whatever the problem was for which they were not able to say. The good thing is, that very night, they restored electricity. That very night. But then we have left already. We're not there to say, okay, we're current here now, let's get our bag before we leave. But the most important thing you need to pay attention to is how the president took charge of this matter. How he demanded a situational report that was available at his office first thing in the morning. How additional meetings were held with different actors on the same issue. And how the management team there is aware. And what took place there is considered unacceptable. It should never happen. It should not happen again. I think that's the key. You see, sometimes the president's office has a press secretary. And one of the countries came back a night or so ago. You wanted to know that when the president visited Ghana, the president had last name for you. And the spokesman of the presidency. So you should have gone to the press secretary and say, oh, the president going to Ghana, I want to know what the president going for. But you left the president and say, I will wait until the information minister come by there and hear what I will ask. So I don't have an answer for you. I direct you to the press secretary because I come here. I didn't see the president here, I see the press secretary. So if that is pressing for you and you need an answer for it, tell a presidential issue. Go to the press secretary. This question was not for me, but I'll say something. The last man who asked question talking about, out of the last or second to the last man, 80% of the Eastern